Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we've had a look at the handicap marks that came out today, and to be honest, I actually think the BHA should be doing a better job of notifying people about that. There should be a tweet going out saying, the latest updates are available. Here's the website. It's always the same website, but just include a link and maybe talk about a few of those at the top of the big rises. Nassalam went up £12 for winning the Welsh National. Master Chewy went up £10 after winning a Grade 2 Wayward Lad at Kempton. Things like that. That's what I think the BHA should be doing, and letting people know about these handicap mark changes is kind of... Are they not because they're trying to keep them quiet and hidden, and so that people don't, can't argue with them or can't slag them off for some of their terrible handicap changes? I don't know why they're not publicising it more. But anyway, I've had a look. I've got 4 chases that I want to talk about and where I think they might end up next. So first of all, we'll talk about Walking on Air, who went up £1 to 139 for finishing second at Newbury. As I said in my review video, I think I've done that review. Yes, I have done that review video. As I said in that video, or it's live, sorry. I thought that was a very good run on his return after 247 days. He is still lightly raced. He might be a bit of a soft finisher, but I'm not so sure. I'd like to give him another chance. And I think there could be a race that he could go for at Uttoxeter. It's this 3-mile race here. The deliveringyournetzero.com handicap steeplechase is over 3 mile for horses rated 0 to 145, so off 139 he would get in. They actually finished second in this race last year, I believe, with Mr. Coffee. Yes, Mr. Coffee, I've mentioned him in another video. I think that race would suit him. Likely to be a bigger field. Last year it was about 10 or 12 in that race, and he can creep into it very quietly and almost continue to creep into it until the last, when then that's the only effort he has to make, and he's nearly at the finish by that point. So if he is a soft finisher, I think Uttoxeter would really suit him, and I do think he's interesting going forward off just a £1 higher mark with that run now under his belt. He did finish 5th in a Pertemps final. Potentially, if they were to win this or run well in this Uttoxeter, they then might go, okay, open handicaps are fine, we don't have to keep running him in novice handicaps. And they might then look at like the old teamer with him, or potentially the Kim Muir, if they don't win and stay off around 139. So yeah, I quite like him. I think he's interesting, and I think this race at Uttoxeter would suit. The next horse I want to talk about is Bport, who dropped £1 to 141 for his collateral form with the old timer Truckers Lodge. Now Truckers Lodge beat him at Sandown over 3.5 mile on soft ground, nearly 3 mile 5. Bport doesn't stay quite that far, but I thought it was a really good effort. He went up £2 that day, and he's dropped £1 back, so he's only £1 higher. I really liked him at Sandown. I thought he would win it or go well at Sandown. It was just the trip that stopped me from having a bet on him. Let's run him in this race here then. No, this race here, 3 miles at Sandown on the 3rd of February. Everything would suit. I would fully expect him to go very, very close in that. He does have some good Sandown form. He's finished second in that 3 mile handicap over hurdles. He's finished second in a 2 mile 3 handicap at Sandown. And now he's finished second here over 3.5. 3 mile is the ideal trip for him. I mean, this race was probably one of his best runs of his career. And if we have a look, it was in a feature handicap behind Green Book, I think. Behind Green Book, who went and won it the following year as well. That was his best run over 3 mile at Sandown. I mean, if he runs here, I think he'll take all the beating. 2 more to go. The penultimate one is Russian Ruler, who ran no sort of race at Kempton. Never involved, never travelling, never going to win the race. You kind of have to go, ignore that run. The trip, I don't think, was the issue. He was off the bridle and beaten way before that. So I do think he will stay this trip. And his 4th at Newbury, I thought kind of suggested he did want 2.5 mile. I think we might see a much better run from him. He dropped £2 to 125. And it wouldn't surprise me if he returned to or ran next time at Cheltenham. Now, he's got good form at Newbury. He's had a win. He ran okay when he was 4th on his return this season. And although it will be a harder race, This novices handicap steeplechase over 2.5 at Cheltenham. Last year it was actually won by Stage Star. Now, Russian Ruler is not going to be the next Stage Star. I do think off 125, though, he'd be right near the bottom of the handicap. And I think he would run much better. I think Cheltenham will suit him more than Kempton. I know he has won at Kempton. I think he would go better at Cheltenham. And it wouldn't surprise me if he turned up here for this 2.5 mile handicap chase on the 27th of January at a decent price. You know, I think it'd be 16s, 14s, 16s, 20 to 1 for this. It wouldn't surprise me if he ran a much better race next time. So he's one that I definitely want to keep an eye out for, Russian Ruler. And the final one is Iblio. Now, Iblio, look at his form. Most of it had come over 2 mile. He tried 2.5 for the Topham at Aintree. It didn't work. And then on his return, after 991 days off the track, he ran at Aintree over 2.5 mile. I think he only ran there because A, it was a veterans race, and B, it was to get his fitness into him. I don't think they were actually going for it that day. And with that in mind, dropping £4 to 146, I think could be very interesting if they find a race for him. Now, I know he's old, he's now 11. They can win with these old timers, off breaks, dropping significantly in the handicap. They did it with Sipage recently. So where would you go with Iblio? Well, he's got a win at Doncaster and he's got a win at Sandown. Now, he could run in that same race at Sandown, at the Masters Handicap Steeplechase that I've highlighted for Bport. If they both ran, I think I'd be more keen on Bport than I would Iblio. But if he doesn't run at Sandown, he could also look at this race at Doncaster. The 2 mile, 78 yards handicap for horses rated 0 to 150. So rated 146 he would get in. He'd be nearest to the top of the handicap, likely to take on inferior opposition. But he'd be back at a track that he'd ran well at. You know, he won at Doncaster, and he won it relatively comfortably, to be honest, that day, way back in 2021. And he's now back down to a mark of 146. Now, that would definitely give him a chance if he could return to his best. Now, he is 11, so that might not happen. But the fact that he was quite lightly raced coming into that anyway, you know, he'd had issues before. He didn't run for 838 days before returning at Wincanton and winning, and then going to Huntingdon and winning. It's not that he doesn't, you know, he can overcome these long layoffs. 244 days, 991, 263. He's clearly had issues. He's clearly hard to train. But if he is okay and he does run at Doncaster, I actually think he would go very, very close in this race at Doncaster. I think he would at Sandown, but I'm also hoping that Bport runs there. And as I said, if Bport ran and Iblio ran, I would definitely be on Beauport's side because A, he's 7. I think he's still not reached his handicap peak. I think he's better than Iblio as well, and they would actually be running off. Bport would be running off 141 and Iblio off 146. So yeah, there's 4 horses over fences I'm interested in. Walking on Air to Uttoxeter, I think the bigger field would suit. Bport to Sandown over 3 mile, I think that's his ideal trip. Russian Ruler to Cheltenham, I think he'll run better next time, could be a bigger price. And Iblio to either Sandown or Doncaster, I'd prefer Doncaster if Bport went to Sandown.